Welcome to the Fit Chicks and Hormones podcast, where I share my insight to help you move through your perimenopause and menopausal years with ease. In this podcast, I talk about natural solutions for balancing your hormones and empowering you to move away from the symptoms like fatigue, mood swings, hot flashes, and resistant weight loss to feeling vibrant, confident, and full of energy as you age gracefully. Let's get started.
So, hello everyone. I am here today with Tammy, who is a past client of mine. She was in my coaching program from April of this year until August, if I'm correct. Yes, I think it was August.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds right.
yeah.
Mhm.
Good. Awesome. So, how are you doing, Tammy?
I'm doing good. It's been a really great experience to kinda, have a coach that can kinda show me what to do, and this last I guess it's been, yeah, since August that we've stopped the coaching and, I'm kind of on my own, and so, I mean, I feel like that coaching has set me up for some good success. So far so good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, good. Well, let's go back to when you started, right? Like,
Yeah.
share about, where were you? Like, what was going on in your life, your body? Like, what brought you to the coaching program? What was like, you know what? I need to do something.
Yeah. I mean, I was so frustrated. I have been, kind of a roller coaster with my weight, pretty much my whole adult life where, I gain a little more than I want and then I go on a diet and exercise, lose it, feel great, and then like get lazy and gain a little more. And, it's that I think it happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm 47 now and something happened, last year. Well, I'll tell you what happened. I hit menopause
Yeah.
and and things just started not being the same as they used to as far as weight loss goes. And I had kind of like I was frustrated because I had gained more than 40 pounds, and a lot of it was showing in my belly area. And, I was working out and, trying to do all the things that I used to do, and it just didn't seem to be working like it usually does. In fact, it just was at a standstill. I wasn't making any progress that I would normally would have been,
Right.
making at least some.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
so then I saw I don't even remember how we got connected. I think it was through Facebook.
probably.
Yeah. And I, reached out and I said, "Well, this seems like something that was meant for me."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mainly because you focused a lot on, how to eat right and do it without, um, necessarily having, all of these doctors involved and trying to get, I am on hormone therapy and I think that that's a very positive change for me too. But eating right and knowing what the right things are for my body now has really I figured a lot of things out because of, what you've guided me through. So
Yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I think that the HRT, the hormone replacement is huge. Definitely makes a difference, but it doesn't change our lifestyle, right? It doesn't
Mhm.
change the way we eat, the way we move, the way we live in our life. Like it can support our bodies, but it doesn't like tune in to everything else that's going on the outside of that. So
Yeah, I would agree. I think that it helped, mainly because I was having a lot of hot flashes, and things like that have changed because of the hormone therapy, but honestly, like, I don't think that, any of the other things changed, the belly fat and all that stuff,
right.
was still on there after that. It was just really helping with the hot flashes.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Were there other symptoms that you had other than the weight gain and the hot flashes?
I used to get really bad, I don't know if this is why or not, but I used to get really bad migraines
Mhm.
to the point where, it was a headache, but also I got, like, the orbs
Yeah.
that you could see, and so you just have to kinda sit in a dark room for a while. I haven't gotten those since the beginning of the I can only really can remember at the beginning of the year, like, around April, the last time I got one of those, so
That's amazing. Yeah, definitely
Coincidence?
supplement. Yeah, that's huge because those are, or I mean, I don't get those where I see the orbs and stuff, but a migraine is just, it's debilitating. It's just like you just want to lay in bed and not do anything because you can't focus and everything is just awful. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. You know.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because, I mean, this is just kind of an off note, but, I got one of those, masks that
Mhm,
you can put on and it heats your eyes and it kinda massages your temples,
mhm.
and I got that right around the time I started, coaching with you, and I haven't used it.
Oh, really?
So I guess
Yay.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to buy it, but not sorry that we fixed everything so you don't need it. So
Exactly, like, I'd rather not need it, so yeah.
right. Oh, that's awesome, awesome. I love it. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about what was different that we did in the coaching program versus what you had tried before. So you
Yeah.
talked about, dieting and all the stuff. So what was different in what we did versus what you've tried before?
Yeah. I mean, in the past, I've tried just doing, like writing my food down and using apps for that, which are very helpful. But something that's different that I had with you is that, I had a live coach that was looking at everything that I was doing. And, you would reach out every time you looked at it and said, "Hey, like this might be off. How are you feeling?" And that was so super, like, there were 2 things that really helped me with that. 1, it got me to realize, like, oh, like, there is a direct correlation to my stomach issues versus what I'm eating, like, duh, but, like, having somebody talk to you about it, that makes a huge difference. But then also knowing that there was this little, like, angel on my shoulder going, "Mm, are you sure?"
Yeah, yeah. Yep,
That
yep,
helps a lot.
yeah,
That's something that I would say, like, now that I'm on my own and you're not coaching me, I try and pretend you're still my little angel on my shoulder, and it helps, but I do miss that a lot.
yeah, yeah. You've mentioned that too. Yeah, that's funny because it's nice to have that somebody like that accountability, right? Just somebody that we know somebody's there watching. It's easy to track your foods and be like, well, it's okay because nobody's saying this but me, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, good, and I'm glad that the input. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I tell everybody, especially when they start, is I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to teach you what to do and listen to your body, so your body can tell you what's working and what's not. Right. So
yeah.
that's the biggest way to learn to yourself is how do I feel when I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and I think that, when we first started, I told you, like, I would really like to be able to not write it down. I'd really like to be able to just know, what the right things are in the right portions and just kind of get it. And since you and I have stopped, doing the program directly, I've been really good about um, I know my portions. I don't have to write it down because I'm not, like, veering off.
Mhm.
So it's really easy because it was, so many months of me doing the same kind of regiment that it really, like, you don't really need to write it down. It's at certain point, you're just like, "I know this."
Yep. Yeah, you get visually, you can see what should be on your plate, how much you should be eating, and again, listening to the foods like, okay, I know I've probably been eating a little bit too much of this because my stomach's not feeling great. Like your body tells you. So yeah, you don't have to write it down.
Yeah. And now, that we've gone through this, I do understand so much that, like, certain foods do affect me, like, in a huge way. And before, I think I probably would have just been like, "Oh, I just feel bad."
Hmm.
So it's nice to be able to be, like, pinpoint it. And you really helped me with that too, like, okay, like, I really can't, I should avoid, these certain things because they do make me feel groggy or like my stomach hurt or whatever, so
Right. And I think we talked many times about that it's a choice. Like if you're like, I really want to have this, okay, I'm gonna have it. I know I'm gonna feel miserable afterwards, but you know what? I really want it, so I'm gonna enjoy it and then just move on, right? So
yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. That was another thing you and I talked about at the beginning, right? I said, "Listen, I like to have a cocktail with my husband, and enjoy the sunset, and I'm not gonna stop doing that." And so it does, like, that kind of thing, I I haven't changed that part of my life, and so and that would be something if I was on a crash diet, I would be depriving myself of things that I, do enjoy that, like an occasional glass, of wine or whatever, but now I know, okay, it's not gonna be wine. I'm gonna do seltzer
Yeah.
and, like other things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that helps.
Yeah. And again, that's the whole lifestyle part of it, right? We want to create a lifestyle that's doable for you because not that you're miserable in menopause, but it's not fun. So why take everything that we enjoy away from our life, right?
Yeah,
About finding the pieces and how to put them together in the life in your life so that you can still enjoy them and still get results and still feel good.
yeah. Well, and that's the other thing, you asked about, like, before all of this, things that I was feeling, the symptoms I was having, and another thing I kind of forgot about is that I was waking up so sore, like, all the time with joints, achy joints and all this other thing, and I think I mean, that's gone. I don't have that anymore. So, that's such a huge part of it, and, I think that part of it is the food that your coaching has, helped me do, but also, like, the movement, like, getting used to walking every day and getting used to exercising, 3 times a week is helped my body, feel younger.
Yeah.
So
And
that helped.
yeah, and it's also changing your body. Like your body has changed so much in the before and after photos. Like you can
Mm.
see how much it's shifting, and that's because you're focusing on that movement and being consistent with your workouts. Were you consistent with them before?
I mean, off and on, so I guess no.
Mhm. Right.
Spurts of consistency, if you know what I mean.
Right. And now it's just part of your life, right? It's just something
Yeah.
you just do. It's part of your routine and
Yeah, and I mean, I can tell when I've been slacking, I can tell, like, immediately, okay, it is I guess I missed that walk yesterday,
yeah.
or whatever it is. You can just tell, so, yeah, it makes a huge difference then. It gets you motivated to do those things because you do feel better.
Right. Yeah. I want to ask you this because I think this is the one thing that people sometimes think because this is my hardest part is to get people to eat more food. And we had to focus on that with you, right? Getting you to eat more. So did you ever feel like you were deprived, like you were starving, you were hungry?
No, no, I actually, like, many times would feel like it was more food than I probably would have given myself,
Right.
because, at the beginning, at least, there was a lot of times where you would be like, "Hey, why are you only eating 1,400 calories today? What is going on?"
Yeah.
And I look back and be like, "Okay, I need to eat more breakfast." Like, because it's really hard to get all that food in the end of the day where you're like, "Uh-oh," like,
Right.
"Now I need to eat a giant chicken."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I never felt deprived ever, and even, like, I have a sweet tooth, and so I would reach out to you and be like, "I just wanna
Yep.
I wanna eat, like, chocolate," and you said, "Well, just eat chocolate, have dark chocolate, that's fine."
Right.
And so I do, I just give myself a little, chocolate every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. See, I love that, and you don't feel guilty because I think that's the guilt. It's the guilt part of I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it, and then you feel guilty, and then you're like, well, now I don't care, so I'm just gonna eat more.
Oh, true, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have that. I know I talked to you about that too, that guilt. But, like, I feel like that's part of, like, having a healthy lifestyle is just being like, "I'm gonna give myself a few things and, nourish my body with, the things that it needs," but then, every once in a while, you just need some chocolate.
Yep. Of course, I 100% agree with that. That's why anybody else, if they want chocolate, yes, yes, because I love chocolate
Always.
too. Yeah. And so that kind of goes into the part like uh, you didn't have to be perfect, right? There was no perfect throughout this whole program. There was never like I have to be perfect or I'm not going to get results.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely wasn't perfect. I think that you could probably attest to that, but, I still saw changes. So that was a pretty amazing, like, thing. I wasn't crash dieting. I was never hungry. I was never ever hungry, and I'm still not, like, it's, yeah, I can't remember what you asked me, but
That's okay. Being perfect, and so you
oh,
don't have
yeah.
to be perfect.
No, yeah, no. I guess that was the other thing is that, yeah, you can have your weeks where there's not a change, and then I look back and I say, "Okay, well, we wrote down the things that I did, and look, I wasn't perfect." And so, that did show with the rapidness of, what my weight loss was, but I it didn't matter,
Right.
It was just like, "Okay, well, on to the next,"
Yeah.
and
I
that's
think
okay.
sometimes when we do that and we're not seeing results or things aren't happening or we had a bad week, we're like, well, things aren't working, so I might as well just give up. But
Mm.
it was that's okay. Just let it go, move on because we're still making progress. Your body's still doing the things it needs to, and
Yeah, well, and I think that that's really the thing is that I saw enough progress, that I knew that it was rewarding, and that it was worth it to keep going. I mean, there's nothing bad about it, it's like I feel good,
yep,
I look good,
yeah,
uh, I'm still getting like pretty much everything that I wanted, just maybe not like in excess of all of
right,
those things.
yeah.
And yeah, well, there's no downside.
Right. Yeah. I love that. I love it. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's talk with just a little bit about your results. So in the first 3 months, you lost about 18 pounds and 15 inches, which is incredible. I mean, that's amazing. And on your own now, you've continued to make progress. So do you know like where about you're sitting right now?
I haven't measured with a tape measure in a little bit, but right now I'm sitting at about 24 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love that.
so I'm sure that that tape measure is getting smaller and smaller. I need to
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
And the thing about it, like you're continuing to make progress, which is what most people, and it may not be as quick as some people want to lose 30 pounds in a month. Well, look at your continued progress. Like it continues to continue to go down, right? With the things
Yeah,
that you're doing. And so you know that you're not gaining weight, you're not going back up. So you're doing
no.
all the right things. You're sticking with everything.
And my expectation this time around was that I don't wanna have it be a crash diet, where I lose 40 pounds in a month and then I gain it all back in a month and a half. I've done that, been there, done that. I don't wanna do that, and, um, so, like, making those small goals so that I can reach that big goal because my big goal is still coming up. I have a high school reunion coming up next summer. That's probably, like, 7 months away still, that's my big goal.
Yeah.
Um, and so I have they're right there. I could probably change my, view so you guys could see it, but, like, it's all these little sticky notes that have my goals on there.
I love it.
Got
That's
one coming up, there's one in November that I have to wear a certain size pant.
yeah.
So,
And that's awesome because then you're reminded of it constantly. Like you see it, you're reminded of it. That's what I'd like everybody to do is put those sticky notes because then you're okay. This is what I'm working towards. This is what, and then when you hit it, yes, that's awesome. And then you move on to the next one. So
yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
I actually put the sticky notes, I work from home, so I have an office at my, house, and I put the sticky notes right above where I, like, probably would snack, you know what I mean?
Nice.
And so I look at that and I think, "Alright, I don't need that."
Yeah. That's a perfect way to stay on track. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You have made such incredible changes, like from just the time we started to now, even your overall attitude and just, yeah, it's
Oh,
been
thanks.
so fun to see you change and to see you progress and continue to just make progress and all that. So I love it. I want to ask one last question.
'Kay.
Like, why do you feel like you're able to continue making progress?
I mean, it's the goals, honestly, and the fact that I do feel so much better, but I've also uh, on top of those things, I've also surrounded myself with like been telling my friends and I've been telling my family and everybody around me like this is helping me and this makes me feel so good. And so there's a lot of encouragement like because I've been sharing this and I think the fact that it's not a crash diet, it's not like I'm taking Ozempic or doing something kind of crazy that not that those things are crazy but like that seems a little bit like
A little more
it's
drastic.
holistic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that because of that, it's the people are a lot more supportive of just being like, "That's amazing, like, how can I do that?" And, or "How can I help you?" or whatever it is. So,
That's awesome. 'Cause that's 2 things. You're a role model for others. You can show them that it can be done in a much healthier way, in a way that you can still enjoy your life. You can still and how good you can feel, right? So that's incredible.
yeah.
And that they continue to support you. I think that's the thing too, is people are afraid to tell people they're doing this or that because they don't want to be, you know, people to be like, "Oh, you can eat this. You don't need to diet. You don't need," you know what I mean? But to have the
Yeah.
people that are supporting you, like encouraging you, again, that's going to help you be successful in the long run for sure.
Yeah, and I've changed my vernacular a little bit where I'm not calling it a diet because it's not,
Mhm.
and so I just tell people it's my health journey.
Oh, I love that. Yes, yes, yes. Get that negative word diet out of there, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, get it out. Don't want it.
Good for you. I love it. I love it. Well, is there any last thing that you would like to share with anybody that maybe they're in the place where you were and they're thinking maybe about, should I do coaching? Should I not? Like, what would be your suggestion for them?
I mean, I it helped me so much just kind of give me that push to take you, on board with me and my journey. And I was apprehensive, at the beginning just because you just don't know. Like there's so much out there that you think that it's going to be great and then you're like, "Oh yeah, it's just the next thing." But with you, I mean, it was really easy for me to decide because you're a real person. I can look at you,
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
have a conversation. And I think that to me was the deciding factor is that this isn't, some app
Mhm.
or, whatever. It's a really one-on-one situation that makes you feel like you're really being like genuinely coached one-on-one. Um, and, I value that so much. So I think that anyone who's thinking, oh, like it's useless. I don't know what else to do. I would say, just give it a try. Like just a little try
Yeah.
and see because for me, for sure, I was like, I don't know, I've done all this stuff, I've done the apps, I've done all the things. But it was such a huge difference just being able to talk to you and know that you were, constantly looking at what I was doing and things like that. And I knew you were,
Yeah.
it was very clear that you were watching me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And that to me, I mean, at least for me, holding myself accountable like that, like, is huge. That's the biggest thing. So,
Good.
thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate everything you
Oh,
do.
well, thank you. And I think I told you this before, you were a very coachable person, which makes what I do a lot easier. Like you were willing to listen, you were willing to have conversations, you were willing to, do the things that I suggested. And then if you had feedback, you gave it back and we had a conversation about it. So, I mean, that's the best kind of coaching, right? And because it's back and forth, it's back and forth. It's not just me saying you're doing this and this and this. It's like, let's what we need because I want to find what works best for you. And so
Yeah. I definitely, liked the fact that I could just be like, "Yo, Angie, sorry, but, I'm having a trip and I'm gonna have,
yeah,
all the breads,"
yeah,
or whatever, and, yeah, that to me, like, if I had a personal trainer or something like that at the gym, they would just be like, "No, don't
right.
do that,"
And
and
and then
that's
you're just gonna do it anyway. You're gonna do it and you're gonna hide it, and then
fine.
you're gonna be like, "Well, why aren't you making progress?" Oh,
Yeah.
because I don't know
Oh,
what's going
yeah.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is that you really do have to be honest with yourself when you're, writing your journal, writing down all of your food is like I I finally grasped it, I think, a few, weeks after or months maybe even after we started that, yes, portion size does matter, like, I I think that before I was just, like, throwing a bunch of stuff on a plate thinking I knew what the portion size was,
Yeah.
and you and I, kinda went through, like, at the beginning, it's very important to weigh your food, and I thought like, weigh your food. I know what they look, I know what a 4 ounces looks like or whatever,
Right.
but I don't know. It's just there's something about that that like really clicked with me. Like, okay, like this is more of a science project than I thought, and I like that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And the main reason, like the tracking is like I said, it's a learning tool to teach you so you can see exactly what you should how much you should be eating, what that plate should look like and
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, it sounds tedious at first, and I guess, it does take some time at the beginning, but, I mean, what I said at the beginning of our conversation is just like, I it's so easy for me now to just, kinda look at a plate and be like, "This is the right portion." So I don't do that anymore, but I'm still on my journey, and I'm still, losing that size,
yeah,
so
I was gonna say
that's
you're
all that
still getting
matters.
results, so you're doing all the right things, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
we set your body up for a healthy place too, so it knows what to do now. So,
One other thing I wanted to tell you, and I kind of forgot, but now that the weather is getting colder, I'm putting on clothes that I haven't worn in about 6 months, and that's pretty amazing. Like, all of my clothes are loose.
that's awesome. No, it's
Yeah,
time
it
to get
feels so good.
menopausal.
Yeah, like, things that I was like I kinda put away for maybe ever, I'm
Uh-huh,
getting back out because that old, like, size just is a little bit too big.
right.
So,
Yeah, that's
yay, changing
amazing.
weather.
Yay! I love it, I love it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of your progress. I'm so
thank
proud of
you.
your continued progress, doing this on your own because that's my goal is I want everybody to eventually go out on their own and do this on their own so they can continue making progress. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that even though, I mean, we have this relationship now and you still check in on me, and
Yep.
that's pretty amazing, like, yeah, we have a, relationship, and I appreciate you reaching out and just being like, "Hey, send a picture."
Yeah. Let me
So,
know. Yeah. Because I want to see. I want to know. I want to know that things are going well. So
yeah, well,
awesome.
thank you for doing that too.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time today to spend with me and share your journey.
My
Hopefully,
pleasure.
other women will listen to this and be inspired by you.
Well, I hope so. Thanks for having me, talk with you.
Yes, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks.
Tammy.
Bye.
I hope this episode today resonated with you, and if it did, I would love for you to share it on your stories and tag me on Instagram or Facebook. A review would be appreciated too. Your reviews and shares not only help us to grow, but they give other women who are struggling through their menopausal years hope that they don't have to continue living the way that they do. Your questions and experiences are also so helpful in giving me subjects to talk about. So feel free to reach out to me anytime on Facebook or Instagram with anything. I would love to help.